I shouldn't be making this video. First of all, I like to mind my business. I do not like to speak on other people, not just on YouTube, but in real life. As a matter of fact, if you go through my channel history, I've probably only spoken on other YouTubers a handful of times, and it's always been in a positive light. Second of all, this video is bad for business. Why? Because technically speaking, Hamza is my competition. And whenever you see your competition going through a rough patch, this should bring you a great sense of joy and satisfaction because you are gaining their market share. But I don't want to gain someone's market share from a false premise. Because truthfully, I don't believe Hamza is a bad guy. I believe that there are a lot of misconceptions about him on the internet, and in this video, I want to clear up one of those misconceptions. And that is that Hamza is a scammer. I've seen a lot of comments recently, not particularly on my videos, but on just about any video that talks about Hamza, claiming that Hamza is a scammer. And it actually boggles my mind that people think like this because, truthfully, I don't see how they could draw that conclusion, how they could come to that conclusion if they know literally anything about not just his channel and his business model, but life. Okay, I think the reason why people think he's a scammer is because they don't know what a scammer actually is. Bearing that in mind, the Webster's dictionary definition of a scammer is a fraudulent or deceptive act or operation. Now listen, if Hamza ever does anything that falls under that definition in the future after I film this video, then you can disregard everything else that I say in this video. But up to this point in time, as of May 27th, 2024, I have yet to see him do literally anything that falls under that category. Hamza, at least from my vantage point, is providing what I like to call an equal exchange of value. As a matter of fact, he's providing a disproportionate exchange of value. What does that mean? That means that you pay Hamza a certain amount of money. As far as I'm aware, it's $129 a month for his community, his online paid community. You pay him $129 a month and you receive more than $129 worth of value in return. This is what is known as good business. Generally speaking, with good business, you want to provide more value to the person who's paying you their money than the money that they're paying you is worth. So if somebody's paying you $10 worth of currency, you should be giving them at least $50 to $100 worth of value in return. And that keeps going up. So if somebody's paying you $10,000, you should give them $50,000 to $100,000 in exchange for the currency that they're giving you. And as far as I can tell, Hamza is doing exactly that. Because, listen, I'm not a part of his community, so I can't speak from experience, but what I do see is that Hamza has multiple courses in his community. Courses are inherently valuable, by the way. I'll touch on that in a second. But aside from the courses, which are probably worth the money in and of themselves, again, I shouldn't be making this video because this video might encourage people to go to his community and pay him their money instead of me. But again, I can't sit by and watch people lie about somebody else who has generally the same goal that I have, which is to help young men and make money in the process. But bearing that in mind, he has the courses. He also does group calls. So essentially group consultations, which a lot of people will charge literally thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars for those personal interactions like that. And if you don't believe me, then you need to do more research on more people who are in the entrepreneurial realm. And I don't know what else he provides. I think he does a lot of meetups and events, things of that nature. But the point that I'm making is that $129 is not a lot of money for the value he's providing. It's expensive, and it's definitely expensive for his primary demographic, which is probably 13 to 20-year-olds, give or take. But it's worth it because he is providing more value than the people are paying in currency. And clearly he's reinvesting a lot of that money back into the community. Now, again, I said I'll touch on courses. Courses are not scams. Just like communities aren't scams, courses aren't scams. Because again, if you pay, let's say, $200 for a course, or even $1,000 for a course, $5,000 for a course. Let's say you pay $5,000 for a course. If that course will give you information that could help you make $50,000 to $100,000 or even $500,000, then that's not a scam. Whether you apply the information or not is on you. But that is, by definition, not a scam, because that is not a fraudulent or deceptive act or operation. That is simply an exchange of value, otherwise known as a transaction. Just like if I go to the grocery store and I buy a loaf of bread, that's not a scam. It's not a scam because I'm receiving something in exchange for the money that I'm paying. It's an exchange of value. It's a transaction. In other words, Hamza is not a scammer. He is an entrepreneur. What is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is somebody who uses transactions to make a living. So they facilitate transactions with other people by providing a lot of value and asking for a portion of that value in return in the form of money. And they make a living doing that. That is an entrepreneur, and that is exactly what Hamza is. Now, the reason why people think Hamza is a scammer, the reason why you might even have a negative perception of Hamza, is because you don't believe Hamza is bad. You believe that money is bad. You have limiting beliefs surrounding money. You believe that money is evil. And listen, I don't blame you for this. I don't blame you for this because this is how the majority of people are conditioned coming up. Because a lot of people do not come from wealth. And so they have limiting beliefs around money. They believe that people with money are separate. They're somehow separate and superior. And because of that, because they feel inferior to people who have money, even though they're not truly inferior, they resent the people who have money. Even if just subconsciously, especially subconsciously. Nobody will willingly admit that they think money is bad. At least most people won't. And that unwillingness to admit that belief is the reason why they say that Hamza is a scammer or any other content creator is a scammer. Now, like I said, if somebody is out here asking for money and not providing any value in return, then they're a scammer. Again, a scam is a fraudulent or deceptive act or operation. If somebody is promising a certain outcome or promising the potential of a certain outcome, and they don't even provide you with the opportunity once you pay them the money, they are a scammer by definition, and they deserve all of the criticism that they receive for doing so. But a guy like Hamza, from what I can tell, is just an entrepreneur, and he's a very good entrepreneur at that. But if you have the belief that money is bad, then you're never going to be a successful entrepreneur, even though, by the way, you pay your money to entrepreneurs pretty much every day. Again, you go to the grocery store, you buy a loaf of bread, you are paying somebody for that loaf of bread. You are engaging in a transaction. Is the person who's selling you that bread a scammer? No. No, they're not a scammer. Now listen, I'm not speaking from a holier than thou perspective. I know exactly how you feel and why you think the way that you do. As a matter of fact, just a couple of years ago, I had a belief that marketing was synonymous with manipulation, meaning that I thought that it was impossible to be good at marketing without manipulating people, without tricking people into wanting the things that you're selling. And with a belief like that, it's no wonder why I ended up living in my car. When I look back on that belief and other similar beliefs that I had, it was pretty much inevitable that I was going to end up down atrocious, financially speaking. It was pretty much inevitable that I was going to become broke. And if you don't fix that belief, you are not that far behind.